With some of grandma's stories, she would talk about her wedding, and that occurred in D.C. in 1943. And her outfit was a gold dress with a gold hat to match. She talked about a funeral. One of her other stories, she talked about a funeral that she went to in Richmond. One of her family members. And her mother was living in North Carolina, and grandma was living here. And so they met for this family funeral. And according to what she recalled, her mother said to somebody, "Who is that?" saying who was my grandmother. And her thing was she looked so good that her own mama didn't know her. That outfit was, I think, a navy blue with the hat to match. And there were numerous other stories. The hat and coat to match. Everything seemed to center around when she felt she really looked good. It had to have a hat with it. Other things as far as with migration, as far as with my family, extended family, when I look at pictures of my Bullock family, and these are my grandmother's grandfather's folks, so these are distant relatives. And persons of my grandmother's generation on back, they all wore hats. And many of them were part of the Baptist church or the Christian church, which I think the organization was called Christian. They're also known for their hats. With the Johnsons, some of the Johnsons moved to New York around the 1930s, and we have beautiful pictures, one of my cousins has, of these hats. I mean, they're flat hats. It was obviously, they looked like they were from the city when I look at those particular pictures. And as I mentioned, this was one thing that my grandmother was motivated by as far as her getting out of Ridgeway. My Thornton family, this is my maternal grandfather. Looking at the hats of his mother, you know, they were okay. They were probably a step above maybe my great-grandmother, a little bit, you know, more stuff on it. But her daughter, Aunt Dorothy, she moved to New Jersey probably around the 1940s. And we have pictures where Aunt Dorothy definitely was looking like she was from the city. These pictures look like, from the background, it looked like they were taken in North Carolina where she had returned home. And she had big hats and big shoes and, you know, tall heels and so forth. And she definitely looked like she was doing well in New Jersey. Another person in my grandmother's family, this is a person, aunt by marriage, Aunt Clara. Now, Aunt Clara, and you'll see a picture of her on the slides upstairs. Aunt Clara, not only did she like to wear the big hats, I remember when she would come to from New Jersey down to North Carolina, when her and my uncle would come down, and she would have those big umbrella hats where, I mean, it was one case I was like, this was this big round case, and I was like, it looked like an instrument or something. And I was like, I guess I asked one of her children, like, what's that? That was Aunt Clara's hat box. And this was sometime around the 80s. But not only did Aunt Clara believe in wearing the beautiful hats, but the fur. She had to have the fur and everything to go with it. Cousin Sarah is another one of my grandmother's cousins, who she remained in North Carolina. However, she had her hats sent to her from New York. And definitely looking at pictures of her, you can see that these were not any country hats. Men's hats. And as I looked at this, I started to look at not just women's hats, but men's hats and hats for other cultures. A lot of men in my family, and I'm sure in your family as well, are big hat lovers. In fact, one of my uncles, one of my grandmother's brothers, when he passed, and my cousin asked me what did I want of his, well, for some reason I wanted his hat. And so I got Uncle Charlie's hat. With my father's family from Greensville County, Virginia, the Emporia area, that generation definitely with hats. Have a picture of my grandmother, and I'm not sure if my paternal grandmother, she wore hats on a regular occasion, but she did wear hats. This picture was taken at a funeral, and so that's, some people just might wear hats at funerals, special occasions, and so forth. So in closing, I wanted to close with the Hat Queen rules. Some of you might have heard of the Hat Queen rules, and this is also from the book Crowns, where if there's also a play called Crowns, as well as the book. And so one of the persons who was interviewed, her name is Peggy Knox, she said that, in her interview, she said that she interviewed was talking about the Hat Queen rules. And this is what she said: don't let people touch the hat. Don't let people knock the hat. Don't let people hug too close. These are the Hat Queen rules. Don't break them.